Hello everybody, it's I, WebFox, and welcome to Fit to Read. This week I picked up Sonic Universe, issue 67, part 1 of the Total Eclipse story arc. I'm quite happy I picked up the pixelated cover because it's just so reminiscent of the classic Sega Genesis games, whereas the art cover was just more of a meh to me. In this issue we see how Eclipse crash lands into the floating island. And not only that, but we'll get to see what the Dark arms look like. Cute little suckers, till they rip your face off. Meanwhile, Team Dark lands on the floating island, and they got off a little rough start when they ran into Knuckles. But it was a nice page of seeing Team Dark go through some classic levels from the old Sonic games. So with a great evil on the floating island, threatening to destroy the entire planet, even more than the way it's being destroyed right now, what's the logical thing to do? Split up! I'm sure this will not fare well, but we've got 3 more issues to go in this story, so who's to say what's about to happen? We don't see much of the floating island, but we do see what the Dark arms look like, and what Eclipse is doing what he can to keep them alive, and of course to be a pain in Shadow's side. Knuckles doesn't like what's going on, but he knows that there's a greater good, after he's told that there's a greater good. So with Sonic out of the way, we're moving on to Mega Man issue 40, part 4 of the Dawn of X story arc. Nice cover. I prefer this one more than the other one. In the future, X and the Maverick Hunters take on the Wily Walker, with some advice from Dr. Light from the past. In the past, Team Mega Man take on the Wily Walker, with some advice from Dr. Light in the past. Naturally, Mega Man doesn't take it down, and it was up to X to continue the fight. Yeah, spoiler, Mega Man failed. Well, at least Mega Man stopped it. Enough for X to take care of it. And Xander returns from his little time hopping. But as it appears at the end, it's not the last that he'll be jumping through the time portals. Not really a crossover. I mean, the crossover that took place in Dark Horse that covered 4 different Star Wars story comics, that was more of a crossover, because at least you got visions and images of one character seeing all the others. Whereas this, it's just, there's a thing that one group took on, and the other group took on, and Xander, which he really did nothing. So, not really crossover, but an introduction, and a good introduction. It gave me a lot of insight on how the world of X works and his relationship with the characters, and you could definitely see that if you played even a little bit of X games like I have, of how the characters early on evolve into the characters that they'll be in the games. So, not that great of a crossover, but it has given me a bit more insight to X. And with Xander, I could see that there'll be plenty more of Archie-based Mega Man stories that are not totally related to the games, but have some connections to them. And now we're moving on to Transformers vs. G.I. Joe from IDW, issue 2. And I didn't really care for this cover, but it's alright. Pretty monumental issue, I must say. The Transformers and G.I. Joes are at war. Not only that, but the G.I. Joes are on Cybertron, the home turf of Transformers, Autobots, and Decepticons. At this time, they don't know that there are 2 different factions of Transformers. They just know that big alien robots are bad, must fight. We get some insight in the Autobots. We see a lot of Decepticons, and also how amazing the G.I. Joes actually are. Wow, they sure do fight, they can survive, and they are here to kick butt. I am loving this series. Still, the 80s style artwork, the writing, the storytelling, and not to mention that it's a fresh universe, a new take on the Transformers, and G.I. Joes. We're seeing characters that supposedly haven't been seen since old comics or brief appearances in the cartoon, and they're being a bit more fleshed out from the looks of it, but they're really showing what they all can do at their strengths. Well, mainly the G.I. Joes. Transformers, they are very awesome. They are doing great things. It's just that it seems like there's a few that are being killed off just to get them out of the way. To introduce more Transformers. You know, one wave of toys after another. And so we're wrapping up today's Fit to Read with Godzilla, Rulers of Earth, issue 15, also from IDW, and I got this awesome Mechagodzilla cover. We finally find out what city it is that Godzilla's wrecking. Apparently it's Boston. Alright, if only I said that sooner. I would have made some Massachusetts jokes earlier. Anyway, we see Mechagodzilla 3, Kiru, taking Anguirus off to a new facility in Russia for some reason instead of Monster Islands. And as for Boston, Godzilla's taking on not one, not two, oh my goodness, it's 4 different Mechagodzilla 1s at the same time. We see how devastating these Mechagodzillas are when they work as a team, but this isn't no Showa Godzilla they're after, it's a Millennium Godzilla. And those ain't the only Mechagodzillas around. Who knows how many there are, as we see numerous others around the world doing nefarious things, I must say. We get more insight into evil alien overlord and his 2 psychic twins that he picked up from what was last seen way back in the first Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. Godzilla is super cool and kicks a lot of butt against these tin cans. As for Mechagodzilla 3, we're going to have to wait and see what has happened. And there's a surprise monster on the last page. One that we both question what happened to, and also when will we see. So, I gotta say, Godzilla is really kicking it up. This Transformers G.I. Joe comic is doing great. We got a new story arc in the Sonic universe, which is going to be seen pretty epic since it's combining the 2 or 3 previous story arcs together. And as for Mega Man, we finally finished the story arc. We can move on. Give X his own spin-off comic if you want, or have him switch story arcs from time to time with the Mega Man. So I'll happily see X. It's just this crossover wasn't a crossover. It was just more of a little epic story covering 2 fronts. So those are the issues that I picked up. The video's a little late because I already got the next set of issues for the next Fit to Read. So that'll be up real soon too. So thank you for watching. Until next time.